Welcome to the SKO Radio Network. You can find us online at skoradio.com. We're also on the TuneIn app where you can listen with your mobile devices on the Google Play and Apple Store. Find us on social media at facebook.com/SKO Radio Network. You're tuned to the SKO Radio Network and online at skoradio.com.
The views and opinions expressed on the SKO Radio Network are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other hosts or advertisers. The shows found on the SKO Radio Network can promote any lifestyle, belief, religion, political affiliation, or other personal practice. These shows are for entertainment purposes only and are not intended to treat, diagnose, and/or claim any cure of disease or condition.
And welcome to another Sunday night here at Firearms, Freedom, and Facts. I'm Tony.
Sean.
Jason.
Gentlemen, how's your week been?
It's been slow for me. I mean, I've been handling a few things here and there and watching my kids because of school and then caught that cold again. So, yeah.
It was frigid this morning when I had to get up and venture out. I had no plans on it, but I had to. And I'm like 15 degrees in the morning in December, really, early December. I'm like, this is like January, February weather, not December weather.
Right. But we haven't had the snow, so
yeah.
Knock on wood, we're going to have an okay winter.
I hope. We've had a fairly dry one thus far. We're still in fall for another 2 weeks.
Right.
Yeah, because it's
December 21st.
Yep. And it's a week from Friday, so yeah, it's almost 2 weeks away. We should be in winter, and what do we have? We went from summer. We had a couple-week flirtation with fall, and now we're in dead of winter again, and it'll probably snow until Easter or thereafter.
Yeah, and the last day of winter is what, March 21st?
Yeah, that's the first day of spring.
Right.
And it snowed for this year. It did. I think our last snowfall was 28th of April. We had 3 inches of snow on the ground. It melted a few days later, but
right.
It's like some bitch. 3 days. 3 days away from May, and we got 3 inches of snow on the ground.
We're in global warming.
Yeah,
we have been for about, according to them documenting it, 55 years, and it's only getting worse every year.
Yeah.
Which is why it's getting colder. But don't worry, weather doesn't mean, climate, right?
Yeah.
The funny thing is they claim, they look at the weather and they claim global warming, but then when we say, yeah, but it's getting colder, oh, no, you can't look at weather. You just quoted weather to claim climate, and now I'm trying to talk about weather and saying, why does it not apply to climate? It's contradictions. But I went to the gun show last week here in Summit County at the fairgrounds and picked up this target. It's like a...
Oh, I forgot to bring...
See, you were going to bring in bump stock so we could talk about it on the show.
Yeah,
It
completely slipped my mind until now.
Jeez, unreliable. No, but I picked up this. You call it like a dueling tree. So the target is a center. I know you guys know what this is, but it's basically a center stand that stands upright, and then down the sides of it are like round flipper targets. You hit it, and it swings from one side to the other, so left to right. This one's got 6 of it. Stands about 5.5 feet high, which is nice because we got to my folks' house. The backstop we've got is only about that high. But yeah, we took it out to my folks' house this weekend. Finally got around to getting out there. It was so bloody cold. Nobody wanted to go shoot. My stepdad and I probably spent less than 200 rounds out there. It was too cold.
Nice.
Yeah. Still did some shooting. I tell you what, he's got a couple. He brought out these Rugers. He's got this one old, P89 or something, full-size 9mm, steel frame, double stack. He uses it basically for home defense because he's got a couple extra large magazines, 25 rounds or something like that. And then he's got this little tiny Ruger. The hell's he carry? The LCP maybe? LC9? No, the LC9. LCP is too small. He carries the LC9. Well, I had some of my stuff. I had my Glock 19. It's got a silencer code threaded barrel in it, and I've got the M&P 9, but it's the core, the full-size Pro Series. It's got the 5.5-inch threaded barrel. I've got the aftermarket trigger. It's got a 2.5-pound pull, red dot on top of it.
What did you go out there?
I think Saturday we went out. I'm like, here, try this. Well, I tell you, he likes those. So he's
the Glock
and the M&P. He's well, how much do these things run when you buy them?
Yeah.
He might be getting a new gun for himself for Christmas.
They're nice. I'm a Glock guy. I like M&P too. I like the 2.0. I like the full-size 9. I like the full-size 40. One of my favorite guns too is also the Glock 23, which is a 40 caliber.
Yeah, the 40 cal is nice. A lot of people don't like it because of that snappy recoil. It doesn't bother me at all. In fact, my brother, that's his favorite handgun round.
Yeah.
His carry gun, I forget which model it is, but he's got a Sig Sauer. The reason I don't remember is because the controls are basically all right-handed, and I'm a lefty. But it's a full-size steel frame, double-stack 40 caliber. He just loves that gun. It's built really well.
And, Glock is continuing to bring out their Gen 5 series. They've got the Glock 45, 9mm, which is very similar. It's kind of the brother of the 19X. So you've got the basically the 19 frame with the 17 handle. That's basically the Glock 45. 9mm, double stack.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it looks like the other Glocks, and they're interchangeable. So
it does. And the thing I like about it is that when the Glock Gen 5 got released, it's got this little cutout in the front of the frame at the bottom to help pry out the magazine in case it gets stuck. First of all, maybe I haven't shot Glock that much, but I've never seen a magazine get stuck in a Glock. Never.
I've never seen a Glock magazine get
seriously,
stuck.
really? I mean, especially if you're using Glock magazines. Some of the aftermarket ones, I know other people have had problems. I've seen enough cheap aftermarket magazines. I generally won't buy them. So, like my Glocks, I've never put an aftermarket magazine in. But if you use a Glock mag, I've never seen a problem nor heard anybody say that. So the little divot there to try to pry out the magazine doesn't make any sense. And if you've got a full size hand, like guys like you and me who have man's hands, that little thing's like right there where your pinky's at, and you're like, what? You got this weird feel to it right there because it's like, why is there a hole in my frame? And since it's a polymer frame, there's nothing you can do about it. It's just it's there. That hole is there. Yeah,
a little bit of tweaking out, a little bit of gunsmithing, and some gun work. You can fix any of that stuff.
Yeah, but
just takes the money to do it.
Yeah, but once you, by that point in time, it costs so much. Better off buy Gen 4 and just have the, laser stippling done to remove the grooves. Because a lot of people like the Gen 5 because they get rid of the grooves that are still in the Gen 3 and 4.
Right. Well, didn't you mention, I think we talked about it. I think you mentioned to me about a week and a half ago that, Glock is mainstream. They're going to stay consistent with the Glocks. But here's the thing. Let's bring up this question.
Sure.
Gaston Glock, who's the founder of Glock International, based out of Switzerland or Austria, which is right over the border. It's only a couple miles away.
Very important couple miles. Just ask them; they'll tell you.
He's still the chairman of the board for Glock.
Oh, that's right. I was thinking he died, but no, he got divorced, which is worse.
He divorced Helga. That was about 2.5 years ago. Gaston Glock Jr. and Helga Glock filed a $750 million lawsuit against Glock and Gaston, and saying that they helped found the company, which is true. Okay. I mean, it's documented. It's well documented. And Gaston Glock does not have great relationships with his father, so he broke off and started Gaston Inc.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Which is more for the sports shooting, more customized in the sporting industry for shooting.
Sure.
So it was settled out of court, and that just recently happened the beginning of this year.
Yeah.
So undisclosed amount.
Always non-disclosure agreement. Always.
Right. So they're moving on. But here's the question: wouldn't it be nice to see a 223 5.56 Armalite rifle 15 Glock version with a 30-round mag, kind of similar to would look like slightly, obviously it's going to be different in its little bit of design, but kind of the Colt 6920.
Yeah, I like where you're going with it. There's some companies that when they build something, they build it right. When you look at Glock, I kind of joke that Glock is kind of like Apple and the iPhones of the handgun world, because when you see the changes from iPhone 4 to 5 to 6 to 7, whatever, and then the generation 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of Glocks, they're never revolutionary changes. They're tweaks on something that already works right. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when you see Glock do something, it works out. They've got, I forget which model number it is because their model numbers don't make any sense to me. It's kind of like Smith & Wesson and the revolver numbers. I don't have any idea how Smith & Wesson came up with those numbers. The only one I know is the Model 29. Why? It's the Dirty Harry gun. Other than that, I have no idea how you come up with a number on a Smith & Wesson.
They started out with number 1. And it's gone all the way up to the 700 series.
And just randomly, as they come up with a new one, it did different caliber, different barrel length. They just give it the next number in line. Hey, okay,
right?
But
but I know where you're going with it.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't make sense.
Wouldn't that be interesting to see that?
Yeah, but you're right. When if Glock were to make something, there was a joke. It was an April Fool's joke. It had come out. Somebody had taken a photograph of a jet black 1911 frame, wiped out the markings that were on it, and put Glock markings on the frame. And we're all like going, are you kidding? Is Glock really going to make a 1911? I've got to get my hands on this. Well, a lot of us got duped who were not paying attention as to, no, it's crap. It's a lie. It was a joke. You guys got stuck. It's April 1st. But, yeah, you're right. If Glock were to make, especially because their polymer frames really are that well built, considering the price, because I've got an FNX 45 Tactical, which costs you twice as much as a Glock, but the frame on the Glock is at least as good as the FN.
Now imagine that in
an AR-15. Yeah.
And we're talking a price point of probably $799 to $900.
Yeah, they would
because
do it.
That's where Glock's going to stand with it on it.
Sure,
but that would be great to see that.
Yeah, it would come down. It would be lighter than your other ones. It would even be lighter than Smith & Wesson, which builds one of the lightest ARs out there that I've seen. When you full stock, you know what I mean? I mean, if you're building your own, that's different. But when you buy one off the shelf, off the rack, the Glock's going to be so much lighter weight.
And then their direct competition is going to be Ruger, Wyndham Weaponry, and Colt.
Sure.
Colt ARs, because they still have the government military contract for the 6920.
They do, but if I'm not mistaken, Colt still, the prices are still a little bit higher than most of their competition, aren't they?
$950 to $1,150 for a Colt 6920, or $1,400 to $1,300 for a carbon.
Yeah.
Which is basically all they did was coat the barrel and extend the barrel 2 inches longer.
Yeah.
So you've got an 18-inch barrel instead of a 16-inch barrel on the carbon version of the Colt 6920. LE stands for law enforcement.
Yeah.
Because that's the primary weapon for your SWAT teams and your officers that carry their ARs, armor light rifles, not assault rifle, in their trunk of their car strapped in.
When you see the brands, like you say, like Colt and Smith & Wesson, that market to military and police, they've got their LE versions. They've got basically what they would sell us, and then they tweak the things that are useful to a police, especially like you said, SWAT team. SWAT team, what are they doing? They need something sometimes a little bit different than the guys.
They use the metal mags. They don't use the polymer mags.
That's one of them. Yep.
We're going to do that. Also, if you look at between the law enforcement version and the civilian version, it's the mag release. It's extended on the law enforcement version.
Oh, no kidding.
It's centered and put in on the civilian version.
Okay.
So it's basically like pressing the button on a Glock.
Sure.
That's the civilian version, where they extend it because of hands, and they need to make it different.
They wear gloves a lot of times when they do that. Whereas the three of us, we're going to go competitive shoot. We're going to go have fun in our backyard with an AR-15. We don't really need those kind of things.
Yeah, we're not wearing gloves on ours.
Yeah, especially the tack gloves. We're not wearing tactical gloves or.
No.
What's your
And
basic
I'm going to
district
recommend
heavy?
that. You've shot ARs. You're consistent with the AR shooting. Wear gloves. The tactical gloves. You want to get the ones that are really tight with the polymer on the knuckles, because
you know what?
If you're going into serious shooting and you're actually practicing with your AR at 25 yards, 50 yards, or 75 yards, and you're doing a course, whether it's a 5-step course, a 25-foot step course, it beats up your hands when you're popping a mag out and you're dropping one, you're popping it in, and you're pulling the
I was going to say, I'll tell you what,
charging handle.
If you've got the
it'll hurt your knuckles.
I said, if you've got something where you've got the concern of busting your knuckles, then you want those. Although one of the options with that are some of your off-road dirt bike gloves.
Trust me, I bust up my knuckles enough with work.
I can see yours. My son's got, because he rides a dirt bike, so he's got these gloves that are the off-road dirt bike gloves that have got, I don't know, some kind of Kevlar polymer composite on the back end of it to cover those knuckles. those real well because they'll fit real good. But if you don't have any concern for that kind of safety, like the hardness, you just want a good high-quality glove, you're going to laugh when I say this, baby. But the football, like the gloves, like the wide receivers carry, they got that sticky stuff. I buy those things. I buy them because I'm like in a large, but like barely. So like I'll buy a medium. And it's snug as heck, but it's still comfortable. But man, I tell you what, I can hang on to anything because they're sticky. So when I'm riding a motorcycle or if I'm out shooting, those are the trick right there. The baseball. I used to wear the baseball gloves. The football ones are a little stickier
because you want to hold on to your
Either
weapon.
way.
If you're in a firefight, you lose grip of it because of recoil, or you're jumping over some log or hiding behind a tree or climbing over a rock. The always standards that my ARs, they're all military spec and beyond. I'm talking going into Navy SEAL Team 6.
Okay.
So the rule of thumb is 8.5 pounds or less, and it's literally got to be thrown in the dirt, in the water, in the mud. It's got to seal when the dust cover opens and closes. It's got to have thick, tough springs with detents that are literally going to hold up, and it's got to be combat ready. That's the key, combat ready, because anybody can buy an AR. They all look the same. They all do the same. But is yours going to hold up for long-term, continuous fighting and long-term effects?
Yeah, if you're in the backyard on occasion, I'm going to take it out a half a dozen times a year, shoot it in the backyard, shoot it at the local range. Save your money, buy the cheap one, but you're right. If you plan to do anything else with it, paying that little bit more money up front is going to suit you better in the long run. My one grandfather always taught me, he says, buy higher quality and then take care of it. You've got a better quality product for a longer period of time.
Right.
Because I made that mistake. I've forgotten
So I'll mention Daniel Defense. So Daniel Defense is one of my favorites.
Yeah, you mention them occasionally, yeah.
They get it. They even get it now. They just released their new line.
Oh, yeah?
Just this week with the same series numbers, but better made rifles. They opened up that new manufacturing plant. They're running 3 shifts. They've adjusted their pricing. And if I can find it here, I just got an email on it from them, and it is right here. Let me see. What did I just do with that email? I'm looking at it.
It's always whenever you're trying to find something, when people are waiting on you, you're like, where the hell is it?
Here it is. There's their new line. There's their new pricing.
Oh, boy, these are beautiful.
So they've got, pretty much the same caliber, just different versions. Shorter barrels, longer barrels, different grips, different handles. But that's their new line they just introduced.
Oh, we can't read these numbers. These are your dealer numbers. Can't read those prices. Yeah,
Well,
but I know
great.
what the markup is on that. So I know how much the. Well, the funny thing is though, and a lot of people don't understand this because I know a lot of gun dealers.
So it's on my list. I'm going to get a couple of them.
I'm sure. Yeah, you're probably getting a couple for yourself personally too.
Right.
But
No, I'm getting for personally for myself.
You're not even worried about the store. If anybody wants one, call Sean. He'll get them for you though. But I've talked to enough gun salesmen. The markup on brand new firearms themselves is so small that people don't really get it. They walk in the store and they say, "Man, you went $1,200 for that rifle. I'll give you $1,000, dude. That's below my cost." Wait, what? Yeah, it's not like the clothing at the department store that's 100% markup. But, the thing of it is, well, like I said, I went to the gun show, and I know half the people who work there because I see them on a regular basis. And I was talking to one, and he was like, one of the problems I have, he says, is it's always the same people at the same few gun shows. It's all kind of regional, well, at least here in Ohio. But he's like, you've got like these two guys who they're going at each other. They're undercutting to where they're basically selling at cost. If they're not selling under, that maybe $5 over. He's like, none of us, the other ones who are actually trying to run legitimate businesses, can compete because they're trying to kill each other, and they're taking business from the rest of us doing it.
And in the long run, what are they really, honestly, to heart accomplishing?
They're gonna put themselves and the other guy they're going after. And I don't know why these two guys are going after each other. I know who the one is, but I don't know the other guy. But then they're also hurting everybody else because when I went in. Is let's face it, we've got right now we got Donald Trump as president. Yeah, he's kind of a Republican, kind of a conservative, not really a gun guy, but you know what? People don't have that kind of concern or panic or fear that they had during Barry.
It
really is, right? and plus the Republican Congress. Now, even though it's going to change in about a month, it's still going to be a Democrat House, but it's going to be a Republican Senate. So the chances of people like going, oh my God, the government's going to take my guns, that thought process is gone. So when you go into the gun show where you would see 1,000 customers, there's 100. You know, I mean, and I, like I said, it was at Summit County. So when I was there on a Sunday morning, the place was dead. Like I said, there were probably 100 to 200 people there the whole time I was there. Honestly, yeah, Sunday morning, first thing in the morning, it's going to be a little dead, but by noon, the place is packed. You're running into people anywhere you try to move.
And did you run into people?
Not this time, no. I never saw more than 200 people in the store.
That's a tall tale sign that it's going to get uglier. Here's something that's also, in adding to that conversation, they are talking about in certain states, and this will probably streamline across the board,
Yep.
you know, with the House, with the Republicans, with the Senate and Congress, adding a gun tax, a separate tax that when they sell the gun, so you sell the gun, you buy it wholesale, you mark it up, you try to stay competitive, MSRP maybe below or right at that. We're talking adding an additional tax to that on top of the sales tax.
Well, let's be honest. You and I both know that when you get a gun in from brand new,
There goes your profit margins.
yeah, you already know that you're actually not selling for MSRP. Because when the gun comes in, the MSRP is actually high enough that if you marked it up there, nobody could afford to buy that thing. So it's always below. So, I mean, you're right. And then you add these taxes. And we've seen, you know, exactly what you said has happened in places here and there throughout the United States. One of the real popular one was, or common knowledge was Seattle. What the heck was it? I think it was a sales tax. It was an additional, like $25. If you bought a gun, it cost you. And am I wrong about the 25? It was like a $25 right on top of it. You had to pay.
It's a gun exercise tax. That's absolutely
excise tax.
Yeah.
Guy just got out of the gym, right?
Yeah.
You're right.
Gun
It was.
exercise
You said
tax.
exercise.
Did I?
Yes, you did.
Excise. I'm sorry.
Sorry. Sean's looking at me like I'm crazy. What the hell are you talking about? You said exercise, not
I
exercise.
apologize for that. That's my fault.
I do it all the time. It's okay.
The excise tax.
Yeah.
It's true. I mean, you nailed it on the nose. Oregon and
Washington.
Yeah, Washington.
Washington.
The one I remember was either in Seattle or the state of Washington.
so how are they making money?
They're well, I think Seattle's was something about their extended background check, and in order to pay for it, or that was, God, I don't know. There's been so many of them, it's hard to keep them all straight. But you're right. All it is putting people out of business. You see these local cities that pass. Philadelphia a few years ago, it might have been just 2 years ago, they passed an additional tax on sugary drinks.
Yep.
So, yeah, the funny thing is John Stossel, I love this guy. He'd gone out and he went to a pizza shop. The street was the border. Remember that one, don't you?
Yeah. 2020.
Yeah. So he goes in there, he talks to the guy. The guy's like, yeah, I'm still selling pizzas left and right, no problem. He says, problem is, one of the things where I make money
Was pop.
Yep, exactly.
That
He's
just came
"They
up
come here."
recently again.
Did it really?
Remember when New York City went? You could
Oh,
only
God,
buy
you couldn't buy it. You could buy the big gulp.
No, you had to buy 4 smalls instead of a large.
Right. Which means you got to get a carrier, and then
Yeah.
that's 4 straws instead of 1. Oh, God, California's going to have a heart attack.
Yeah.
Is it just me, or does it seem like New York and California are like Sodom and Gomorrah? I mean, what the?
Yeah. You couldn't buy this.
No, yeah, the Polar Pop,
Yeah.
what is it, 64 ounce? I think that's too big.
Yeah,
It's
that's 32
Well,
ounce.
remember McDonald's
Get
too
arrested
got
then.
rid of the big gulp. Their extra large fries.
Yeah, they had that real
Yeah.
big,
The real big
that
one?
big sweet tea.
Supersize.
Remember that McDonald's had that sweet tea that was, I mean, it looked like a thermos. It was so bloody big.
Yeah, I think they was like a 44 or 45 ounce drink. And then because of that movie, that Morgan Spurlock fella did that Super Size Me movie.
Oh, God, I remember that.
And, he ate and ate and ate and just put on all this weight. But I've known people that have went and done the same thing as him, and they've lost weight.
Well,
Because it's not about
there was a
what you order, it's about how much you order.
You're absolutely right. When it comes to weight control, calories is how you do it.
Yeah.
If you want to increase your weight, you increase your calories. You want to lose weight, you reduce the calories. There was a high school science teacher, I believe. It might have been a health teacher. That would make more sense, but I think it was a science teacher. But anyways, he had done that to prove to his students how that works. He ate basically nothing but junk food, like, Hostess Ho-Hos, things like that. That was his diet over the course of I don't remember how long the period of time was, but what he'd done is he counted the calories and he controlled the intake of calories and actually lost weight eating nothing but junk food.
Yeah.
Although I'll tell you what, as much calories are in that kind of stuff, he had to be starving because you know how it is,
You have 700 calories on a pastry.
Oh my God, that doesn't fill you up for any time.
No.
God.
Right. So going back to the gun aspect of
Yeah,
it.
please.
It's happening.
Slight tangent.
Yeah.
It's happening in the gun industry. The profit margins are gone. So you're hoping to get enough people to sell you used guns that you can retail and sell. That's not happening. The gun business has gone flat in the last 12 months. Particularly in this area, we've had 7 gun stores go out of business for the exact same reasons. When, I know these guys, so I'm talking to them. And I call them up and saying, hey, what happened? And they're telling me that it's not so much... They're losing money.
Yeah.
And they're not selling guns and accessories and holsters and ammo. A one-stop shop. When you have 7 gun shops in a 4-county area and you're not making any money, you got to ask yourself a question, what's going on? It's the gun industry. They're not making enough weapons. They've cut back. These companies are filing bankruptcy. They've increased their prices to make up for their losses. The executives are overpaid. They're not putting out quality anymore. It's a combination of 10 to 12 different things.
Yeah.
And it's hurt the gun business. So FFLs are closing their doors, going, look, I don't want to deal with it anymore. I'm tired. I'm burned out. I'm this, I'm that. And I'm not selling guns, and there's no money in it anymore.
Well, it's the thing that's been happening in the last 10 years in every industry, which is now hitting the gun industry pretty rough. Because you're right, you pointed out the accessories are where you keep your lights on. You're not making a living. The store is not thriving by selling firearms. It's doing it by selling firearms, ammo, and accessories. Well, here's the thing. I come into a shop and I buy myself a handgun. I might buy ammo, but what else am I going to do? I'm going to go to Walmart to buy the ammo. Why? Because I can get it cheaper. Because ammo buys in such bulk.
Right.
What about,
there's no loyalty in the business.
No, there's not. But it's all down to the dollar these days. Well, what about accessories? Okay, so I need a holster. Well, I can buy one in the store, or I can go on Amazon and buy one and get half price. You can get it cheaper buying online. So that's what's killing is because the store guy walk in and you're right. There's no loyalty. They walk in, they buy a gun from you.
Absolutely.
Or
none.
what some of them are even doing is they're buying the firearms from some of these places you can buy online and having it shipped to an FFL. So what's that FFL getting? $25-$30 maybe for the transfer fee. Which, let's face it, that's all profit. It costs you $0 to do it, so it's all profit.
Right.
But it is your time, and as far as I'm concerned, somebody who charges $25 or $30 is entitled to do that. The guys who are charging $50, that's kind of rude. But $25 or $30, hey, they're the ones with the FFL. You want to buy it or don't?
I've always tried to study the economic impact and the attitudes.
Yeah.
It's every gun store is just like the other gun store. It's operated the same way, whether you're big box or, take some of the big box retailers. Not just that we're suffering as the mom and pop shop.
Yeah.
The big box, and I'm not going to mention names with the big box, but we know them in this area.
Yeah.
We've had 3 of them close. One, I know Mike Kaczynski. He's suffering.
Yeah.
He says he's not, but he is. You can tell by the numbers. You can tell by the amount of people that go in. It has fallen flat. Take, for example, Dick's Sporting Goods.
Thank you, Dick's, for not selling weapons anymore.
Right. And they're owned by Field and Stream. They're suffering. Field Stream is suffering.
Yeah.
Cabela's is hurting. You're going to see all these retailers close their doors.
Yeah.
They're going to scale down and downsize. Come on.
Yeah.
I like Cabela's like you do in Polaris.
Oh, sure.
Which is just
God,
north
it's
of
a beautiful
Columbus.
store. Yeah.
Awesome store. Great store. But
It's a bit
we're
of a drive for
married.
you
We
and
have
me.
a budget. We have a family. We have kids.
Yeah.
We want to buy everything in the store.
Yeah,
well, that's their philosophy. Going in, it's a one-stop shop. Great. We're not doing that. You're going up to the gun counter, and all of a sudden, you're seeing a weapon that you can go get from Blue Target Firearms for $659, and that same gun's $989 at Cabela's.
Yeah.
Why would you want to buy it there?
Yeah, some of the large places, they charge way too much. I've noticed that because normally it's the other way around. You go to the little guy and he's charging up because, one, he doesn't have the buying power, so the dealer or the manufacturer charges him more for the guns. And then, so then they mark it up so they can keep the store open. So it's more there when in reality, you're right. These days it's not. If I go to Cabela's, the gun I buy there, I can buy from, like you said, the small stores up here for less.
Right.
The only reason I go to the big stores now is they have more selection if I want to see stuff. But let's face it, I'm left-handed. Anything outside the gun itself doesn't do any good.
That's 7% of the population. But now let's take a look at that. Take a look at retail. See, we haven't seen the numbers yet. They won't pop up until the second or third week of January of all the retailers going to shut their doors and lay off 235,000 people, and they just hired, according to the report this month, 155,000. Look, it's economics. Talk about the true economics to any retail business or any business and the impacts of the industry. We haven't discussed that on this show.
No.
And it's going to affect everybody again. So the question is, with the politics and the economics, great, the numbers sound great, but there's a truth to it. Our economy, they say it's doing well. It is not. That is a fact. Look at the real numbers. You have to put all the numbers together, do a little bit of math. It's not complicated to find out what is going on. They put these numbers out. They're public record. They have to by law. And the 7 sectors that create our economy, between oil, real estate, the auto industry, home buying market, retail, healthcare, and the other ones, start crunching the numbers. We are doing okay. It's better than it was. It was better now under Trump than it was under Obama. Obama still likes to take credit for Trump's work. Obama has created a mess. Trump has fixed it. Now it's starting on the slow upswing. You have to give it another 2 more years to really get a grasp of how our economy is doing. So said of that, we need to take a commercial break.
We do.
You are listening to SKO Radio Network's Firearms, Freedom, and Facts with Tony, Jason, Sean, and we'll be right back.
Luke, you will listen to some kind of radio show every Friday night from 8 p.m. to midnight on the SKO Radio Network.
Oh, hi, Darth.
Hi, this is Bob Fritz, host of the Oldies But Goodies show here on SKO Radio. Join me every Sunday morning from 11 to 2 Eastern Standard Time for the best of the 50s, 60s, and 70s. You can get your requests in by going to Facebook page Yesterday and Today's Classic Music Chat, Tribute, and Games.
Hi, this is Casey, and if you're a fan of video games like I am, you'll love the Game Jam here on SKO Radio every Saturday afternoon. 4 hours of the best video game music of all time, from the 8-bit tunes of the 80s to the more orchestrated hits of today. It's everything you love about video games. It's the best way to waste a Saturday afternoon without a controller in your hands. It's the Game Jam, Saturday afternoon from 3 to 7 p.m. Eastern, only on the SKO Radio Network.
Hey, this is Brad of the Odd Ass Broadcast, Wednesdays, 9 p.m. to 12 a.m. We are the degenerates of the SKO Radio Network. Tune in to see what shenanigans we are up to this week.
Got the music blues? Well, tune into the Total Request Live with me, Debbie McCune, Mondays from 7 to 10 p.m. Taking your requests live, call or text at 234-200-5110, only on the SKO Radio Network. Guaranteed to take your blues away.
Hi folks, Handy Randy. Some Kind of Radio, every Tuesday night, 6 o'clock, we take your themes. First off, we need you to go to Yesterday and Today's Classics, Music, Chat, Trivia, and Games, and join that Facebook site. Once you do that, then watch for the themes and the requests. Tuesday night, 6 until 10, classic rock and roll. Promise will knock your socks off.
In the beginning, Pat created ham radio heaven. But somehow it just wasn't enough. Listeners wanted more. So they went back to the drawing board, hoping to create that perfect show.
Something's going to happen. What? What's going to happen? Something wonderful.
Join Dale and I for Radioactive as we discuss technology and life in the world around us. That's Radioactive, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Saturdays here on SKO.
Hi, this is Stephanie Raquel Kokora, and I run Under Lock and Key from 5 to 6 on Mondays. Come and see me. It's everything they don't want you to know, all in one place. I'm a truth seeker, have been for many, many years, and I do the research. All you gotta do is listen and make your own cantations out of that. And this is skoradio.com.
Hi, I'm Debbie McCune from Some Kind of Radio Show. Tune into us every Friday night from 8 p.m. to midnight. Guarantee you don't want to miss us because you never know what we're going to say or do next.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Ost.
Hi, I'm Chris Ost.
And we're the hosts of Throwback Thursdays here on SKO Network. Catch us every Thursday for our show Throwback Thursdays from 6 to 9
p.m. on SKO Radio Network.
Looking for the hottest take on sports on the internet? Look no further than Sports Trek with Tony the Comedy Killer, Wednesdays, 7 to 9 p.m. on the SKO Radio Network.
You know, Dylan, there's nothing better than sitting at the bar, having a cold beer, sitting there with a good friend, watching the big screen, watching the big game on the TV.
No, you're absolutely right. You know, talking about sports with your buddy, that's exactly what Rick and Brad do, too, on Sunday nights.
That's
at
right.
The Windsor Pub.
That's right. Sunday nights at the Windsor Pub, the Sports Brewing Company, starting at 9:30 p.m. live here on the SKO Radio Network.
They go till whenever. They talk about whatever. They even have a top 5. Make sure you tune in and crack your cold one.
And we're back on the SKO Radio Network. Firearms, Freedom, and Facts.
So we were talking, I'm going to add to this a couple of things. So here we are for an imminent shutdown of the government, supposedly.
God, I hope so. Shut it down.
You know,
we don't need no government.
Right, but are they really shutting it down? No, people. They don't shut the government down. It's always a battle with Congress and the Senate and the Republicans and the Democrats and the liberals and the socialists. And they set a budget, you know, $8 trillion to open up the government and to operate. So what are the first things they do? It's like a school system being run. They shut down the parks. And they lay off the park rangers, and they shut down the Capitol and the White House and all your visitation centers that are operated by the U.S. federal government and all your lands across the country. And then they'll shut down some smaller regional offices, but they're not shutting down the government. That's the scare tactic.
Yeah.
You know, Trump wants the money for the border wall. Is he going to get it?
Not with the Democrat House, he won't.
No. And they have some impeachable things going on.
They've been saying that for 2 damn years.
Well, now that the Dems control the House, guess what? He's going to be impeached.
They'll try. Yeah, they won't go anywhere.
And no, it won't. But they're going to try. And they're going to try relentlessly starting January 3rd. And here we are. And we also have our famous Congresswoman who was just elected.
Yeah, Miss Ocasio-Cortez.
I thought you
Alexandria.
Thought you meant Pocahontas.
No, no.
I love it. She gets to go to school based on her ethnic background, and then come to find out she's whiter than the Queen of England. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Well, she had some town hall meeting. This was yesterday, or no, I'm sorry, 2 days ago on Friday.
Okay.
And someone brought out in a simple, common, pleasurable question is, how's your background with authenticating that you are with an Indian tribe? And she said politely, we're not going to discuss that right now. I'm still working on it.
That's a politician's answer. Mm-hmm. I love politicians.
Talking out all 3 sides of their mouth.
Yeah, right. Well, it's funny. You know, you're talking about shit, right? You're talking about shutting the government down. It's like one of the things they start doing is like when they run out of money.
That's not a threat to me.
No, absolutely. Never a threat. Well, they say, we're going to have all non-essential employees are going to not be coming in. Wait a minute. Hold on. Why does the government, for crying out loud, whose money comes from taxpayers, why are there non-essential government employees at all? Well, if they're non-essential, why are they there?
Yeah.
They're not essential. Does anybody else get that but me? I mean, seriously, they're not essential.
We get it. Remember, we think outside the box, and we're smarter than most of the Democrats because they're all
God, I'm smarter than Democrats in my sleep.
Well, see, the funny thing is, it's like you think about.
Luckily, I'm humbled about it, though.
You think about it. You think about this. There's a lot of things that are federally run, but not federally owned. The Postal Service,
right?
Us buying postage stamps pays for their salaries.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
They don't
post
get
office
a budget from Congress.
The funny thing is, that's it. It's
And
not.
they've never
the post
truly-
office is never actually running out of money. They've got plenty.
And well, they've never. If you you look at their books, they've never ever truly lost money.
No.
It's the pensions and the health care that's killing them.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing: if you're ever hired by the Postal Service, you're guaranteed to never be laid off. The
No, you
NALC.
won't.
The NALC.
Well, that may change after January because the postage stamp is increasing again to 55 cents.
Yeah, well, I remember
To mail a letter or a bill or a stub that you put your check into and mail it off.
Yeah, you know what? Think about how
55 cents.
often you actually send something in the regular U.S.
Yeah,
mail. Now,
well-
me with my practice, I work for a law firm that we do a lot of stuff where I'm unfortunately forced to do a lot of mailing. Here's the problem: it all gets passed on to the client, so I'm still not paying for it. But
Yeah.
I have firms that send me mountains of shit, and they're usually it's a Cleveland firm because Cleveland firms are awful. I deal with some from other states, and they're pleasant.
Weltman,
yeah.
Weinberg, and Reese.
Oh man, how did you pick that one out? I wasn't going to drop their name. How did you guess that? Jeez, Louise.
Yeah,
I get it's not
The funny thing,
guessing.
because it's not even a Cleveland. Their address is like Brooklyn Heights or some shit.
Right.
But yeah,
It's-
I've got enough collection stuff from them.
I use them right because they are a cat and mouse chase collection attorney firm.
Yeah.
They take on everything and go after everyone and everything. From a $50 utility bill all the way up to Verizon Wireless.
You know
They'll
what?
take it on all.
And
Capital One.
I deal with a lot of them. These collections law firms.
They're terrible.
Most of them are. I mean, don't get me wrong. They're all kind of like feeding off.
Javich, Block, and Rathbone are even.
They all basically just feed off the disadvantaged who got stuck behind on their bills.
Yeah.
But that one, man, I tell you what, they're the only ones that they're problematic, they're unprofessional, they're crybabies, very juvenile about the way they do things.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
the
you
one
talked
is
about Weltman, Weinberg, and
the
Reese.
mountains of stuff that
I'm going
they
to
send
mention it.
me.
You don't have to.
Man, you get me fired from my job, we're going to have a problem. But
No, I'm not going for that either. But I'm just telling you, they are they are a mafia law firm.
Well, that's why, like, I've had dealings with them, but my biggest thing is Javich, Block, and Rathbone. I know them by
Really?
heart
You've had problems with them?
Well, yeah, they're as bad as Weltman, Weinberg, and Rice because
no shit.
I mean, I've had
Weltman, Weinberg, and Rice.
yeah, and because
Weltman, Weinberg, and Reese.
Weinberg and Reese, Weinberg and Rice, whatever. Who
cares?
But
sounds like a
but
pot of stew.
I had issues before, when I moved out here.
Everybody's dealt with them in one capacity or another.
And it's they're just the type to where I have to jump through 600 hoops to find out who's trying to collect from me.
Right.
Because, I had X credit card through this company, what's now been passed on to collection. Then when I get a garnishment order in my paycheck, it's from this law firm basically collecting on behalf of this collection firm. And then we don't know. We just know that this collection firm gave it to us. We don't know who the original creditor is.
They never do.
They never do. And I'm like, okay, well, and you remember the thing that they had passed, 6, 7, 8 years ago about, once it hits a collection agency, they're no longer permitted to keep adding interest.
Right. Once it gets written off, you're done.
Yeah. And then now folks, don't ever believe this fat fallacy that just because the company wrote it off doesn't mean you don't know it. Because as it goes down, XYZ credit card company, you don't pay it, they sell it to this collection agency. Collection agency now owns that debt. They've paid XYZ credit card.
Yeah, they basically
they
stand in
bought the
the
debt.
they stand in the position of the guy who had it before, so they're the ones who are collecting on it
Yeah,
now.
it's the
And they're the ones who are going to collect.
they're the ones that call the attorneys to sue you in court. Nobody goes to court for a judgment thing. You're guilty.
Yeah,
you owe it. So
summary judgment on these things.
So and then a few months down the road, then your employer gets your garnishment order, and they start taking 25% of your net pay.
Yeah.
And then
they'll recover that bill in a big hurry.
Yeah, why? And child support's even worse. My buddy was poll
Oh,
worker.
Yeah,
and
that one's rough. With the credit card ones, it kind of depends on what they're doing. I will watch, not even respond to certain things because I know it's a waste of clients' money to bill them all that time to do some of the work that I know is basically pointless because we're going to lose.
Yeah.
It's like, why am I going to do this, charge the client all these extra fees for me to do something that is worthless?
Yeah.
That collection stuff, you see that a lot.
So let's go back to the politics that's going on and still taking place. So the state of Ohio has passed the Stand Your Ground bill
No, the government. No, it was the gun control one or the gun thing without that. They pulled stand your ground out of it. That's what passed because they tried to push it through. Let me see. Okay, now you got to remind me. I looked this up last week. It was the stand your ground. It was some of these gun rights plus the stand your ground was going through the House, but the Senate I think pulled stand your ground out and then sent it back to the House with the changes, and they're going to send it like that to the cases. Well, you know what? I keep making the point. Nobody seems to listen.
Did they just do that at the last minute?
Yeah, last week.
Oh gosh. Here we go. So where does Kasich stand on it now?
I think old John Boy is a little more inclined to sign that. He is adamantly opposed to stand your ground. So that was going to get vetoed. It was pointless to send that bill up like that. We knew it wasn't going to work. You know.
So we'll scrap stand your ground then.
For now,
temporarily.
Because Kate just won't sign it. I mean, we've got a month to wait. You know, then Mike DeWine comes in, and although Mike DeWine's a little left, wishy-washy with that issue, I think from what I've seen, because I think he's kind of been not so stand your ground supportive, but maybe.
Can you see it?
What, Mike DeWine? I don't know, man.
I don't know if you got that.
Yeah, but. If we get this other one through, in case he signs it, because it's been in the Ohio legislature for a while, right?
I can see it. It's close enough.
Actually, what was that bill? I forget what the hell it was on. I forget what was even in the other bill now. Does it?
Well, we'll see how it goes with Mike DeWine of the incoming governor. And
well, I keep making the point that people we ought to stop throwing stand your ground in the firearms rights conversation.
You know what? I'm going to agree. Totally.
Most people don't want to listen to me, especially like, the guys online, all the keyboard commandos, Facebook tough guys. They all think they know everything about everything. And I try to explain to them, again, I'm always right.
Does the stand your ground even make sense to begin with? It really doesn't.
When I teach a gun class, here's how I explain it to people. I say, okay, here's the thing. Stand your ground exists in Florida, it doesn't in Ohio. Here's how this works. Ohio looks at this, right or wrong, as we don't care about your reputation, we care about human life. So you end up in a situation out in the public someplace. We're not talking about it at home. If you're at home or in your car, stand your ground doesn't count. It's castle district. You're allowed to defend yourself. It's a totally different conversation. Doesn't apply. So you're out in the world, and you end up in a confrontation. If you can escape, you need to escape. Why? Because we're not so worried about your reputation. We don't want you killing somebody. Maybe this is a bad guy. Maybe it's a guy who's in a bad mood. Whatever. Walk away. Go home. Go to another place to hang out. If you're at a restaurant, go someplace else to eat. Exactly. Go home. Go someplace else to eat. Go to a different bar if it's a bar fight, because that's always the example that comes up. Is you're in a bar in a bar fight. Well, you guys are drunk. Come on, cut it out. But that's the way Ohio kind of looks at it. And I don't necessarily think that's a wrong way to be. Although at the same time, I can understand how a state like Florida, they have stand your ground, because it's a different mindset. It's like, okay, we don't want people out there just causing a ruckus and being, unruly, bullying, whatever. So you don't have to back down from somebody like this. So you're allowed to stand your ground and protect yourself if the situation arises. You don't have to be the coward who walks away while this guy's being a bully and being aggressive and is out there, 200 years ago when you actually had that kind of problem, and how many movies were made, like the Gangs in New York, Right. That kind of stuff doesn't necessarily happen as much these days. What you see is stand your ground as it gets tossed around when you have things like the Trayvon Martin, George Zimmerman fiasco. People throw stand your ground on that, and then we have a weird conversation. It's all convoluted. So I don't necessarily think that stand your ground is a good or a bad thing. It kind of depends on the situation, but it's not a gun rights issue. Do we have the right to keep and bear arms? That's the gun rights conversation.
We do.
Yeah, we absolutely do. But that's not a stand your ground conversation.
We have both. It's your choice in the state of Ohio to conceal carry a firearm,
absolutely,
or open carry in the state of Ohio. Yep. You can do either or.
And open carry doesn't require a license.
Yeah,
get that.
Open carry does not require a license. You're going to carry your driver's license on you to identify who you are if you happen to be walking down the street. But I've said this in the past. I'm glad we're bringing this up. If you're going to open carry, it comes with ultimate responsibility and maturity.
Yeah, it does.
If you want to act like an ass, I'm going to take one here in Akron that's talked about all the time. The gentleman about a year and a half ago that walked through the African-American neighborhood with an AR.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one.
Who's in his early 20s. He's just walking through. He's minding his own business.
And the guy in the barber shop comes out and
the barber shop owner, yeah.
Right. Okay, Was he responsible? Was there a purpose? Why? Why did he pick that moment, that time, that day, that second, that situation? I think there was some indirect involvement and planning to that. Because you're not going to do that whether it's a white neighborhood, a Hispanic neighborhood, a gang-infested neighborhood, or a black neighborhood.
Yeah, I think he intentionally. I don't know that it was. Of course,
and he was just walking.
Yeah, I'm going to say what I think from what I've seen. Somebody else could come to a different conclusion. I don't think that it was necessary because it was the black neighborhood. I think it was because it was one of those kind of neighborhoods with a bad reputation.
It was Spicertown.
You know. Yeah,
James Street,
which is a rough neighborhood. It really is. Which I think was his point. Was he's like, you know what? Because I think he lived close by.
Yeah.
Okay. So he
went wandering
He may
around.
not have planned it. He may have just put it on his back to walk down the street because of his safety.
Because it's a bad neighborhood. So it's a bad neighborhood. So you're right. It's a white guy with an AR-15 walking through this lousy neighborhood. It's going to get people's attention. They're going to
not going to mess with them
They're going
either.
to act differently. Heck yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, open carry. Like I said, it comes with responsibility. It comes with respect. It comes with acting the right way. It comes with a large amount of responsibility that you know how to open carry the right way. You don't act like a fool about it. You don't talk about it. You mind your own business. You don't get involved. You're using it for your personal protection. So, the guy in the blue jeans that has the blue jeans hanging down halfway down his ass, and he's got bright tennis shoes with an orange Chicago whatever shirt you're wearing, number 54, refrigerator Perry, and he's open carrying a gun. I'm going to tell you right now, you're asking for trouble. Don't do it. It's just pure stupidity. Dress conservatively.
It depends on how you're doing it. You know what? I think you're right with the appearance that you put off. There was a guy, like if you're going to carry a rifle, or a long gun of any kind actually, wear it in a sling. Carry it in a sling and not have your hands on it until something happens that you feel you're going to have to use it, which hopefully that's not really going to happen.
We haven't seen that.
In America.
Rifles.
Right. Exactly. But what you saw, there was one a few years ago, so oddly enough, it was a black man. So he's wandering around, he doesn't have a strap for his rifle that he's carrying. So what's he doing? He's carrying it like he's on patrol. He's got his hand on the pistol grip and the other hand on the forearm. Well, what do you think the cops did when they showed up?
Right,
Asked him,
that's defensive.
Can we take the gun from you and we're going to give it back, I promise? Yeah, okay, like nobody ever lies. So they take the gun. You know what they ended up doing is arresting the guy. Why? Because he was creating a nuisance.
Yeah.
Because he's wandering around with a rifle in his hands. I mean,
that's where we come with responsibility.
See, that's where I do agree with you because I mean you're kind of you're picking at Tony and I like it. Tony's a lot of fun, but you're right. I mean if Tony were to have a rifle holstered, or I'm sorry, slung across his back, no big deal. You've got a pistol holstered. Although I've seen rifle holsters; they're hilarious to look at. You left
his orange bear shirt, and his hair not combed. That he just woke up in the morning and put his glasses on.
Well, I mean, if you wear a Bears t-shirt Northeast style, you're asking for trouble. I mean, the only worse is like if it was said Steelers or Ravens. I don't know. There's still a lot of hate for the Ravens around here.
Right.
But, but I mean, you're right. If you do it the right way, if you're, there was the guys about 5 years ago in a Chipotle in, I think, Texas, who had the rifle and shotgun, and one of them's holding it load ready, and the other one's got it slung around him. He's got the bivouac hat or whatever the hell it was, and they're posing for a picture in the Chipotle. It's like, dude, seriously, what are you trying to accomplish besides pissing off everybody?
Right, that's just pure stupidity. Wearing a suit, dressing nice, being conservative about it, being polite, calm, and collective, having responsibility at every second that you're open carrying. Are we educating people to open carry? Well, no, we're not doing that. We're educating them to conceal carry. You cannot do both. You cannot open carry and have a concealed carry license. It's a misdemeanor.
Yeah.
Can't do both.
Oh, yeah, you can. What are you talking about? You can
cannot
open carry. You can open carry in Ohio. You're fine to do that. Even if you have a license, you can still open carry. You don't have to, if you have a license, you aren't forced to conceal carry. What the difference is if you are going into an establishment that you're not allowed to carry a gun, like a liquor serving establishment, a bar, right? So you can't open carry into a bar because they serve alcohol. If you have your concealed handgun license, and this is just Ohio law, every state's got their own different crazy rules. In Ohio, you can carry concealed in there in accordance with your concealed carry license as long as you're not drinking. If you're open carrying and not have a CHL, that's where you're right. You come into breaking the law. So if you have a CHL, you don't have to conceal carry.
To your driver's license.
Not really, because people have their CHL and they don't have a driver's license.
Okay, that's a good
But,
point.
Yeah, because I mean, you look at like big cities. A lot of times people don't necessarily have cars. When I was in Hawaii, that was a real common thing.
Yeah.
I knew a husband and wife couple that I think he had a driver's license, she had a state ID. They didn't own a car. He had a driver's license only because if they went someplace else out of town on vacation, they could rent a car.
Yeah.
But they didn't bother with a driver's license because where they lived they didn't have a car. There's no point in owning a car.
There was no need.
But you guys know what I'm saying when it comes to responsibility. You got to have responsibility.
Yeah, no, you're right though. Still,
when it comes to firearms, concealed carry, and if you're going to open carry, don't act like an idiot, a knucklehead. Don't say stupid things. Don't create a scene or kind of using the body language where you show it off, going, see what I've got. This is who I am. You're not going to mess with me.
Yeah, you know what? I had somebody talk about that they've seen people do exactly that. There's a discussion and it gets a little bit heated, and the one guy points out the fact in one way or another that he's carrying a firearm. Okay, now you've basically just made a threat. You've committed a criminal act. You could be arrested for that because you're right. You don't want to go showing it off and acting like, hey man, I got a gun, so you better do X, Y, and Z. No,
you're gonna go to jail for that.
You are, and honestly, they should. It's kind of like the guys selling. I found an article last week. A guy here in Ohio got indicted for basically selling concealed carry class certificates out of the trunk of his car. That happened again. Yeah, I haven't heard of that in quite a while. They'd have busted everybody who was doing it. So I think most of the instructors learned their lesson. There's another guy got caught. It was like $100 a certificate, and there was no training, nothing at all. You showed up, he gave him $100, and he gave you your certificate, and you went and got your concealed carry license.
Oh, those days were gone.
Well, here's the fun fact for these poor guys who did that, who bought one of those out of the trunk of his car. They're going to go back and list because you have to turn in that certificate when you get your license. So they're going to go back, and everybody who turns a certificate from that instructor, their license is invalid. They're going to get a letter from the sheriff's department saying you have to come turn in your license and go take a class. Because if you didn't take the 8-hour class, or if it was 12 hours when it used to be longer, your license is invalid. You don't get a license until you take that class. So since you've got a license, you're going to give it back.
Right.
You're going to be out the money you gave that guy.
Yes, you are.
So
you
instead
can sue
of
him
that,
for $100. Good luck with that.
Instead of that, we have to take a break. You're listening to SKO Radio Network's Firearm Freedom and Facts with Tony, Jason, and Sean, and we'll be right back.
Welcome to the SKO Radio Network. You can find us online at skoradio.com. We're also on the TuneIn app where you can listen with your mobile devices on the Google Play and Apple Store. Find us on social media at facebook.com/SKO Radio Network. You're tuned to the SKO Radio Network and online at skoradio.com.
Are you a business owner? Are you looking to advertise? Are you looking for affordable advertising rates? Well, if you'd answered yes to these, then look no further than here at the SKO Radio Network. We here at the SKO Radio Network will put together a tailored advertising package for your business that will help generate more traffic and more revenue for you. If this sounds good to you and you'd like to hear more, give us a call at 234-706-5857. Again, that is 234-706-5857, and we'd be happy to assist you.
Luke, you will listen to Some Kind of Radio Show every Friday night from 8 p.m. to midnight on the SKO Radio Network.
Oh, hi, Darth.
Hi, this is Bob Fritz, host of the Oldies But Goodies show here on SKO Radio. Join me every Sunday morning from 11 to 2 Eastern Standard Time for the best of the 50s, 60s, and 70s. You can get your requests in by going to Facebook page Yesterday and Today's Classic Music Chat, Tribute, and Games.
Hi, this is Casey, and if you're a fan of video games like I am, you'll love the Game Jam here on SKO Radio every Saturday afternoon. 4 hours of the best video game music of all time, from the 8-bit tunes of the 80s to the more orchestrated hits of today. It's everything you love about video games. It's the best way to waste a Saturday afternoon without a controller in your hands. It's the Game Jam, Saturday afternoons from 3 to 7 p.m. Eastern, only on the SKO Radio Network.
Hey, this is Brad of the On Ass Broadcast, Wednesdays, 9 p.m. to 12 a.m. We are the degenerates of the SKO Radio Network. Tune in to see what shenanigans we are up to this week.
Got the music blues? Well, tune into the Total Request Live with me, Debbie McCune, Mondays from 7 to 10 p.m. Taking your requests live, call or text at 234-200-5110, only on the SKO Radio Network. Guaranteed to take your blues away.
Hi folks, Handy Randy. Some Kind of Radio every Tuesday night, 6 o'clock, we take your themes. First off, we need you to go to Yesterday and Today's Classics, music, chat, trivia, and games, and join that Facebook site. Once you do that, then watch for the themes and the requests. Tuesday night, 6 until 10, classic rock and roll. Promise, will knock your socks off.
The views and opinions expressed on the SKO Radio Network are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other hosts or advertisers. The shows found on the SKO Radio Network can promote any lifestyle, belief, religion, political affiliation, or other personal practice. These shows are for entertainment purposes only and are not intended to treat, diagnose, and or claim any cure of disease or condition.
Welcome back to SKO Radio Network with Firearms, Freedom, and Facts with Tony.
Hello.
Jason.
Yep.
And Sean. Let's bring up this. I mentioned it outside there. This is right up Jason's alley. It might be one of his friends, or he used to be friends with him. It's, how about our buddy DeMora?
Jimmy DeMora.
Jimmy DeMora.
I don't have friends, certainly not guys like that.
Former city council member, former mayor of Northfield Center.
Yep.
And lived in Bedford Heights.
Living high on the hog for years.
Yep. And he actually went to high school with my mother.
Still in prison, right?
Yes. He recently filed another appeal for his prison sentence. And his wife, his daughter, still visit him, I guess. And Jimmy DeMora is basically exhausted to the point all of his appeals already. The guy needs to have a wake-up call.
Do his time.
Right, do his time and move on. And he threw the blame out to his buddy, his former friend, and his allied, and his protector, and his coercing individual named Frank Russo.
Yeah, there's another name, familiar name.
Yeah, the Russos and the DeMoras. And they're not talking, obviously, and they're not friends because he testified against them and got a reduced prison sentence. So you notice with Russo, he keeps his mouth quiet, including his family. He doesn't want to be part of the limelight. He doesn't want to be part of any of it. He wants to do his time, move on, and live a quiet life for whatever he gets out of it in the end. But yeah, Jimmy DeMora still trying to pull his appeals with the court to reduce his. He's not asking to be freed. He's asking for a reduced sentence.
Because how much longer would he have to serve?
He will be, when he gets out, if he serves his full term, he'll be 89 years old when he is released from prison.
Yeah, so he would.
And he will not go on probation or any type of diversion program or any type of probation. When he's released because he did everything fully.
Yep.
But 89 years old,
he'd die in prison.
Likely. He's in okay health, so he's lost a lot of weight. He's all gray now, and but it's he's still trying to strong arm the politicians and the law enforcement community, and his lawyers, and his lawyers are going to continue doing those appeals and writing those appeals and putting those appeals together and submitting them to the circuit court and the district courts. Because why? They're getting paid.
Yeah.
That's the problem with lawyers. They always want paid.
Yeah, well, you want us to work for you, we're going to have to pay us.
Yeah, well, it was like
That's how that works.
I was telling Sean outside, we're out there, and, when the remedial driving class I had to take, I walked in, plunked down the money, and they gave me my certificate, and I left.
Nice.
And it was like, that was the second time I had to do it. And I remember I had gotten convicted of an OVI out in Trumbull County. The court I was convicted in, the cop pulled me over for going left of center on a one-lane bridge.
Is that over the vehicle independently?
supposed to be operating a vehicle intoxicated.
Yeah.
The step above.
What happened
DUI.
to the simple DUI?
Well, it was
all these terms and definitions that have come about in the last 20 years is amazing.
We just keep changing things.
Well, they do the OVI now because it's intoxicated either on alcohol or drugs, or which I mine is alcohol. And it happened to be where I was at in Trumbull County was the largest district court because in Summit County you've got City of Akron Court, but then you've also got Barberton and Stowe, which handle everything that doesn't go on in Akron.
Right.
So. Well, in Trumbull County, if at the city level, you either have Warren and Niles, and if it doesn't go to one of them two, it goes to Newton Falls. Sure. They handle everything else in Trumbull County that Warren and Niles do not. So you could get busted in Wethersfield, which is far east of Trumbull County, but guess what? If you're not in Warren or Niles, you're going to Newton Falls Court. So the judge at the time...
Newton Falls. Newton Falls is...
44444 is their zip code.
Right, and it's a blink of an eye when you drive through it.
Yeah. It's a decent-sized city if you get off Route 5 and actually take 534 and cut in through. There's a decent amount of stuff there. There's got to be 15 pizza shops, 15 churches, and 15 bars.
Right.
Plenty of bars, plenty of places to go get a drink there, plenty of pizza shops to go get a pizza at, and plenty of churches in the morning. But I was telling him, I was like, when I had gotten convicted of mine, the judge that actually was sitting judge at the time with the district court was a drinker himself. And now this is for me because having lived out there, I know what he would do is you might be sitting at the bar with him having a drink that night and appearing in front of him in the morning. He had the State Highway Patrol. Obviously, he couldn't have his own police officers tail him home. That would be too obvious. Right. So he had the State Highway Patrol. Their post happened to be 5 minutes down the road.
Nice.
They would tail him home. And his threat at the time was, if you refuse to cooperate with me and you whistleblow, I can guarantee you one thing. Every case you guys write that appears in front of me, they're going to appear in front of me and I'm just going to dismiss it.
Hey, folks, that's typical non-Italian racketeering.
Yeah. So you finally had a couple of the troopers that just didn't give a damn and kind of opened up the case. Well, it turns out when you get a DUI from him, you go to a rehab center. They were kicking back money to the judge for everybody he was sending them. Yep. And every police impound, the one towing company in town, was kicking him back money for every police impound tow that he did.
Nice.
So all this came open. Well, instead of him being criminally charged, he was able to settle, leave with his pension, and they did come after him for some of his money, his kickback money. They did want to. He did get fined a little bit, but he had to resign from the bench, and just because threaten a trooper, say, well, you guys either tail me home and make sure I don't get a DUI, or I'm just gonna start dismissing all your tickets left and right.
Yeah.
Not every judge is honorable. You wouldn't greet him.
I completely agree with that.
You wouldn't.
And I'm not mentioning names.
You would appear in front of him and say, Your Honor,
after Jason knows who I'm talking about.
After 24 years, I could tell you guys stories that even you guys wouldn't believe.
I would believe just about anything after appearing in front of this guy because he would make you feel like this big when you screwed up so small. He'd make you feel like this big.
Yeah.
And because I went in front of him and I'm just like, okay, I made a mistake, yada, yada. And my life was like hell for an entire year over one bad decision. Going left to center on a one-lane bridge.
And sometimes you can't even help go left to center because of the bridge or stones or dirt or ice or rain or snow or.
I left a wedding reception and they would hide in the cemetery across the street and start tailing people and wait for you to screw up.
Right.
And that was the way
all cities used to do that, and at some point in time.
Yeah, and it would be entrapment now.
So let's talk about as we move on here. We've got about 40 minutes left in our show. We haven't mentioned Alexandria
Ocasio-Cortez.
Oh, you tried to bring her up a minute ago. We changed the subject on you.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, I'm changing the subject because we need to stick with firearms, freedom, and facts.
Well, she was threatening. So what was it, Junior? Apparently, Don Trump Jr. likes to follow her Twitter and take shots at her, and she she made some kind of remark about her going to be in Congress with subpoena power, like make some kind of threat to her, to him. She did, and somebody finally corrected her. She put a correction. Oh, apparently I can't actually subpoena, blah, blah, blah.
Right, and she's covering her tracks right now, and she's being very careful with her words. Because
after she almost committed an ethical violation, get kicked out of Congress and prosecuted.
Yeah,
right, and she's not even
threatening somebody
inaugurated yet.
You're right. Yo, no shit.
She hasn't been inaugurated.
But she get inaugurated, starts signing bills to raise taxes and take everybody's guns. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, you know how long she's going to last in Congress? They're going to eat her up.
They're going to chew her up, spit her out.
Right. I mean, literally. But here, you know what? We are a country where they did elect her. They're going to give her a chance and just slowly just tear at her and eat her away. She's clueless. She's a Boston College graduate, and some of the stupid comments and remarks that come out of her mouth are absolutely incredible.
I thought that was supposed to be a good school. Apparently not.
Not anymore, I guess. Well, by the way, she did say she knows economics. So, explain to me that if you know economics, Congresswoman-elect of, we talk about our national deficit. We talk about our debt ceiling and gross product index in the stock market. Can you even explain those? And I know you're not listening, but it would be good that you would call into the show, and you are listening, to try to explain your philosophy regarding economics.
And then I think the best line I heard out of her this week, we need to invent things that have not been invented yet, or
yeah.
Yeah.
That's how that works. Well, it's the joke because the line, it's new and improved.
Yeah.
You just contradict yourself. If it's new, there's nothing like it before. It's new. If it's been improved, it means something already exists. We just made it better. Therefore, it's not new. So, yeah, she's going completely by the same kind of idiotic circular thinking. We need to invent things that haven't been invented yet. Yeah, okay. I agree. Come up with something. I've got a guy I went to law school with who's a patent lawyer. I'm like, I got an idea. He's like, well, usually my first piece of advice to anybody is forget it. He says it costs too much to patent stuff, and it's ungodly expensive. There are certain things that I think that the cost to get something through is just ridiculous. Patent is one of them. Adoption is another one. Here's the thing. You get all these kids who are down on their luck. They could use something, and you've got all these families who can afford to take a kid in, but the adoption process is so arduous and expensive. What, you want them better off in foster care with people who are just doing it for the paycheck?
Yeah.
As opposed to an adoptive family who, let's face it, they're not going to get anything after the adoption's clear. They're done. They're now all of a sudden they're just on the hook. Shit, let it happen. Why does it cost so much to adopt?
Right. Here's some of the dumb comments that she's made just in the last week alone.
Oh, God, you put me in a bad mood, aren't you?
When this country started, we were not a capitalistic nation.
Agree to disagree?
Nothing built in America these days. I just bought an ATV and said built-in antenna.
I have no idea where that's at.
That is hilarious.
I will read it one more time.
The antenna.
Yeah.
Built-in antenna.
After that.
Nothing is built in America.
Built-in antenna.
These days, I just bought an ATV and it said built-in antenna.
Now, after that, she was like, I don't know where antenna is.
Oh, my God. You're right. Well, the funny thing is, I think Polarises are built in America. I think they are. Some of the...
No, he was TV. She bought an 80-inch TV.
Oh, not a TV, a television.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. I'm sorry.
She just bought a TV.
Here's...
well, that's why I used to buy Zenith TV. They were the last one that still was made in America.
Yeah.
Here's one. This you can literally go off on this one. You're in serious trouble when the far-left socialist and even CNN is calling her out on her lies. So she's come up with this financial plan for free health care, free school, free medical, free everything. So this was on CNN, and the reporter adds up all the numbers. And she explains where she comes up with $2 trillion of it, but not for the $38 trillion that it's going to cost. She said she has to look into it further.
Wonder if she knows what it means to look into these things. I mean,
primary upset. She's sending shockwaves through the congressional district in Congress. And you should see, she always laughing and smiling about things before she answers it.
Yeah.
It's ignorance. And literally these reporters, which remember...
Ignorance is bliss.
Trump calls CNN fake news.
She's got to be a happy woman.
A couple of these reporters are being very frank with her, looking at her going, you're an idiot. Where are you coming up with these numbers? Where do you get your math? And by the way, didn't you graduate from Boston College with a degree in a minor in economics? Wow. Here we go.
I think Boston College just gave her degree to get her the hell out of there.
Oh my God, that would be very annoying to be in the same classroom with her. Because you can imagine, you two, me sitting next to her in Boston College in a classroom with economics.
Yeah.
You think I'd last? I would be thrown out of the college looking at her going, you're an idiot. Shut up. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
She doesn't make sense at any level. She just keeps putting her foot in her mouth. So let's add to it too. We have two others that were elected to the House of Representatives.
What, the new guys?
No, Muslims in Minnesota.
Yeah, they're changing the headgear requirement. You can't wear. But what happened to separation of church?
I was just saying, did we talk about that last week? Yeah, it's they want.
And they put
to
their
keep
hand on the
religion
Quran.
out.
Yep. Any comment on that?
They sworn to oath with the Quran. First of all, it's invalid.
I want to see them put
We
on
don't
there.
even recognize the Quran.
Book of Atlas Shrugged. I mean, come on, picking these religious texts. The hell with it. Bring out the fountainhead or something.
You mean the fountainhead pen?
No, yeah, right. Got mine in here. No, or Orwell's 1984. I mean, something where it actually shows something about what these people aren't supposed to be doing. You kind of started into it for a second. There is, okay, so little three name. What's her name? She's sent to Congress to represent that little district there in New York. That's her job, is to represent them on a national level, not to come up here and say, we're going to just start doing things on a national level and create this huge conglomerate, healthcare, whatever the hell it is that she really thinks she's going to try to do. That's not what they're supposed to be doing. You're not supposed to come into Congress going, we're going to change the face of the nation. Who the hell do you think you are? From a little tiny place in New York, shut the hell up and go back home. People here in Ohio certainly have no need for New Yorkers to tell us how to live our lives.
You just sounded like Bernie Sanders.
How the hell do you figure that out?
Bernie Sanders said that to her. Something to that nature.
Did he really?
Yeah. Telling her,
go Bernie.
It must have been an accident.
Right.
He thought he was talking to Trump.
Bernie Sanders said something that made sense.
Right.
Bullshit.
Right. No, he did. He made some sort of comment this past week about her saying random things, going, look, let me give you a little advice. Shut up.
Yeah, because she's trying to be like a Bernie Sanders clone almost, the way she's like pushing the same
She's
kind
worse
of
than
agenda.
Bernie Sanders.
Probably, but
I would elect Bernie Sanders over her any day.
Yeah.
If there was a choice in that district, Bernie Sanders, I'm electing.
Well, it's weird is because he's an independent from Vermont, one of like the most pro-gun states in the nation. It's one of those that you don't need a permit to carry a gun. You got a gun, just carry it. That's all there is to it, And then he runs for president. He jumps on the Democrat side, and he's talking about all these socialist policies that like basically.
But
just
at least he knows what numbers it's going to take to get through Congress to pass the.
That's true. You know what? He realizes that we're going to tax everybody into oblivion to do it. He understands that we're going to basically become a communist country if it happens. She doesn't.
Which we are.
Yeah. Which she doesn't understand that. She has
adding,
no clue.
Right, absolutely.
Oh, you just pay for it. It's cheaper, so you just pay for it. What the hell are you talking about?
Right. She even mentioned something about health care this week, too, of how health care is going to pay and what it's going to pay and what it's going to cost. And I'm thinking, I'm just listening to her going, oh, my God, we're in trouble. We've now begun the revolution of the failure and collapse of this country. So I'm going to add something to it. I sat down the other night with my wife and my kids, and I'm watching a movie. And I'm like, wow, this is a pretty nice movie. I like it. Didn't realize what the movie is because I've never seen it before, but the theme of the movie. And it was the It was one of the Purge movies.
Okay.
And it has to do with the election of the next president.
Yeah.
Which was a blonde.
I think it was the third one. Yeah.
And I was like, whoa. I'm like, right there. They're even showing movies of how this is going to go down in a few years.
The Purge was when it first started out. The first movie was good. The second one expanded on it because the first one was basically contained in a house, and the second one moved. But then what they did is they turned it into a political push because they started a TV show, and I watched the first episode of the TV show, and I'm like, I'm not interested in watching the rest of this. I didn't watch anything after that because all it was a political push. Conservatives are bad and evil, and capitalists are going to murder people.
And they have the new founding fathers of the 21st century.
It's all basically trying to pull a Democrat-Republican thing. That's all it was.
Right.
It was like actually the year that I never watched American Horror Story, just didn't interest me. But the year Trump got elected, their next season was basically supposed to be based on Trump turning tyrannical or some shit like that. Stuff like that. When you push that down my throat, I have no interest in it because that Purge movie you're talking about was actually a really good movie.
Right.
As long as you kind of ignored the fact that they were calling conservatives evil monsters. If you could get past that, and pretend that wasn't in your face. It was a good
I
flick.
didn't take it seriously, but it take the complexity of the movie and kind of add it to how things are going today, and we're heading in that direction.
Oh, France is there. They're rioting. We haven't really talked about that yet. I mean, France is basically doing it.
Macron.
That piece of trash. They actually built a guillotine right there in the middle of Paris. I'm like, oh God, please televise it. Come on.
They have been televising it, haven't they?
No, the media is trying to hide
it. The media is trying to hide it, but the yellow vest.
When the guys were out there showing the vest, you saw a little bit of that in the news. But after they start building guillotines and rioting, you know what my favorite part of it is? They've got those radar cameras too that run radar and take your picture and mail you a ticket.
Yeah, right.
They've destroyed I think I saw they destroyed 300 of them over there in France. I'm like, can we do that here?
Right.
Oh man, I hate those things.
But you also notice too with the media cameras and the drones and how they've backed off. They're not getting close-ups anymore. They're picturing all of this at a half a mile to a mile away and zooming in and out because they don't want you to see certain things.
Yeah.
Revolution will not be televised.
There's 7 countries over there that are they're going to turn themselves upside down and go bankrupt and end up like France. And, we got Greece. We've got...
they're already broke.
Ukraine. It's happening to Ukraine. It's happening to Poland.
I mean, that's exactly where France is at. The funny thing is we've been making fun of France because they haven't stood up for themselves or anyone else in about 300 years. Okay, it's about 240 years. But anyways, they finally got hit with this guy because they've been socialism. They're taking their guns and all this stuff, and then you have the Charlie Hebdo thing is there, and nobody really does anything. Finally, this gas tax was like the straw that broke the camel's back. They're like, you know what? We've had enough, and now they're finally revolting. It's like, wow. It's about time.
When's it going to take us to be next?
You see little things here and there. Remember the Bundys out there with the Bureau of Land Management when they were out there grazing on federal lands, and they're like, well, the federal government owns this. You have to pay a tax to graze there. What?
Right.
If it's federal property, that means it's public property. Get off their back.
Right. We're heading in that direction, folks. We have put the icing on the cake. Now we're digging into the cake. It's getting worse and worse and worse and worse. Now, and we can also talk about certain religious aspects too. Add that to it. So let's mention a couple of them here. A principal in a school district somewhere in the United States has banned candy canes because the candy canes are shaped as the letter J and stand for Jesus.
Yeah.
What? I saw that. I'm like, wait a minute. What did I just read?
He's banned candy canes because the J represents Jesus. That principal or superintendent of that school district needs fired. How about the kid in Colorado that went in front of City Hall and they had a law in the books for over 100 years that you cannot have snowball fights?
No throwing snowballs. Yeah, right.
And he convinced them to change the law. Now they can have snowball fights because he brought up a point. Do you want me to sit at home and play video games all day and for you to call me stupid millennial? Or do you want me to go out and have fun with snow and build snowmen and have snowball fights?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they agreed with him. So now they've changed the law. They've wiped it off the books, and you can build castles and forts and igloos and have snowball fights and build snowmen. Then you've got the other one that they mentioned this week about, I guess the Virgin Mary didn't give her consent.
Oh God, yeah.
To God,
right?
And she was impregnated, and she doesn't know who the father is. Wow. Come on. We're really getting stupid.
Well,
should be on Maury.
Here's the thing: when people
Maury Povich.
yeah, right. When people talk about
Jerry
that,
Springer.
I'm going, wait a minute. I thought God didn't exist. What are you talking about? Is religion real or is it not? Come on, just shut the hell up.
I mean, come on. This is just every day. It's something in the media that it's just pure stupidity.
Yeah.
Or bringing up Kevin Hart, who made a homophobic comment 12 years ago.
Nick Cannon. Did you see that Nick Cannon tweeted out from Sarah Silverman and a couple other, Amy Schumer and one of the other hardcore leftists, the Democrat, love children, that they twittered out exactly, homophobic stuff like, oh, this is gay or that's faggot that or some shit like that.
Right.
They'd actually done that. Actually, one of my accounts is on a 3-day ban for using the F word, and I don't mean fuck. Yeah, you can't use faggot on Facebook. I'm just saying. But yeah,
no,
Nick
I can't comment. I'm Facebook. I'm in Facebook jail.
Are you too?
Yeah.
Yeah, me
because,
too. One of my accounts. I've got a couple.
Right, because I wasn't politically correct. Well, Facebook too. Mentioning that.
So there's
Facebook
correct and there's politically correct. Those are usually the opposite.
Right. Facebook is liberal, anyways, and Mark.
Yeah,
which is hilarious.
We can say it on the show. Mark Zuckerberg.
Mark Zuckerberg is the epitome of capitalism.
You said Zuckerberg.
Yeah, suck my dick. He's the epitome of capitalism. Free market enterprise, making himself filthy rich. At one point, he was the richest man in America on free market capitalism. But then he's pushing a socialist agenda. Are you crazy?
He's missing a whole advertising market. That's how dumb he is.
He's lost. I mean, what the hell? It's the same thing as Al Gore with his whole tort reform.
But he has a staff of 12 specially trained bodyguards that protect him with handguns.
Oh yeah, and some of those. Actually, you know what? Those guys probably also have automatic weapons.
Right.
You know what? I bet you some of them got these days MP5. I almost said Uzi, but really the MP5 is kind of the thing now.
Right.
But they probably have them. Guns that you and I aren't allowed to have because you've got to have. You've got to be a law enforcement.
So here's how you get around it on Facebook. You write FCKIN idiot.
There you go.
Don't put a U in it because the word doesn't make sense, but you catch on to it. So that's how I get around it, but I'm not going to stop. I'm going to be politically correct with everything that I state in every nature. I mean, come on, we've gotten really stupid in this country. Ignorant, stupid, low-life crap politicians. They don't give a shit. No one does. It's changing. The liberals have taken over, and we're losing the battle. And if we don't start standing up and start fighting for what it used to be and what was politically correct and commonly correct, we're going to lose, and we're going to end up in a day of purge, and we're going to have socialists running our government. It's going to collapse. The day's coming, our government collapse, and we're going to be living off the grid. I'm telling you.
If we would have elected Hillary, that's exactly what it would be. Because one of the things they would have pushed is obviously the gun ban stuff. The stuff that they're talking about now. Yeah, okay, Trump's kind of on this whole bump stock thing, which is just idiotic because it's a piece of plastic that doesn't even have moving parts to it. But she would have gone for that. She would have gone for more guns, all the rifles, anything semi-automatic. They'd have gone for handguns.
But she has Secret Service detail to carry SIGs.
Ain't that great? Yeah, and they'd have gone with magazine capacity, kind of like the Bill Clinton ban, the 10-round magazine crap. In fact, I didn't realize what I'd done. I bought a Ruger way back in the day that was under the Clinton ban, and I'd managed to find an aftermarket extended magazine, 30 rounds or something like that.
Right.
Damn thing wouldn't stay in the gun worth of crap. Couldn't figure out what was wrong with it. Well, my stepdad's got almost the exact same gun. Puts in his, shoots like a champ. Well, come to realize, mine's a 10-round stock mag. Oh, why? Yeah, because I bought it during the Clinton ban. Like, oh, duh. Yeah. Dumbass. So, yeah, I sold that gun as soon as I realized what I had. I'm like, all right, got to get rid of this thing.
Right. So, but going back to government, it's getting worse. We're going to keep doing stupid things, and the people are going to still elect the same stupid people back into office to do the same stupid things over and over and over. I always use several terms. I use the word idiot. I use the word knucklehead, knuckleheadism, stupidity, ignorance, absurd, and just we've lost it. Those are the words I use. Liberalism at its best.
Yeah, that's why we got to get away from that. If you bring it back,
we got to get away from it.
It's a matter of
we can't because we're electing Ocasio-Cortez.
She's not the only one. I mean, we got the House is going to be left in a month. But
so I want to go back through it real quick.
You've got to push back on them. What
we got? What you can correct me. I'm kind of being funny about this. You'll know where I'm going with it in one second. We got Bird Brain. We got Spiticus, Pocahontas. Who else?
Pelosi. Maxine
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Waters.
Pelosi. Speaking of Pelosi, guess they just elected her for Speaker of the House again.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is just.
You know, I'm still lost on why Trump was like, she deserves it. She should be the Speaker of the House. I'm like, what the hell is he even talking about? I'm still lost on that one. I mean, I know sometimes he pulls some things and you're going, what the hell? And then you see how it works out. This one, I don't get it. I'm completely lost on why he pushed it for her.
No, he knows that when she's going to be a Speaker of the House again, that she's going to run the House into the ground. How she did when she was before.
Right.
Well, you got to remember when
You know the Democrats are broke.
Yeah.
The National Democratic Committee, they're broke. They are going. They're bankrupt.
Yeah.
They don't have any money.
Well, you remember when Obamacare got passed, before it was, okay, well, what's in this bill? Well, we got to pass this bill to find out what's in it.
Right.
That was her famous line.
Oh, that's right. That was her, wasn't it?
Did you guys know that Nancy Pelosi was an oil girl?
Really?
In her 20s, before and just after college, she posed for one of the oil companies and would visit gasoline stations or service stations with a little thing over her, wearing a short miniskirt dress. And she was a beautiful woman. She's not now. She's an idiot.
She needs some Polident.
Something.
Polident? Oh, yeah.
Polygrip for her dentures.
Right.
Remember seeing her during the State of the Union address? Like her top of her dentures wouldn't stay in.
God, she was mad. I loved his first day. Well, I mean, he did a good job. His first day of union was good, but the best part was just the anger on that side of the house. All those people were just pissed.
Right, I saw that. They were all sitting down and making comments with their breath and had angry looks on their face.
He's looking over. He says, black unemployment in America is the lowest it's ever been on record. And the Republicans are all applauding, and he's looking over, and the Black Caucus people are all sitting down, arms crossed, in the whole 9 yards. I'm like, how are you not? I mean, how do people not see this? I can't understand a black person voting Democrat. I mean, I know we're trying not to get too deeply into politics, but I mean, how can a black person vote Democrat? When you see this is how they get treated, how they're acted, I mean, they're basically a commodity to the Democrats.
The Democrats treat African Americans, black Americans, I'm going to say Americans, because they are Americans. They treat them as they're stupid and dumb and ignorant. And they keep voting for him. I don't get it. I just don't understand.
Any black person who's an American citizen who wants to vote for a Democrat needs to go back and they need to listen to some of the things that Malcolm X had to say. I mean, seriously. I'm okay. You can go watch the movie with Denzel. Watch it. It was a good flick. I love Denzel. He's a great actor. The Equalizer movies are friggin' awesome. I mean, it's Jason Bourne with a little twist to it. It's awesome. But anyways, if you go back and listen to actual Malcolm X, some of the things that he actually said, I mean, it's a little enlightening. I mean, it's not super deep. I don't want to get crazy about it, but it's interesting where he's talking about. It's like you're being played for Trumps.
Martin Luther King too.
Yeah, he was basically a Republican, not a today Republican, but definitely a conservative. You know, he would definitely be a member of the Conservative Party. He would be along the lines of like Ben Carson.
Yeah, and I'll bring that up too. We've lost the values of Martin Luther King, what he stood for, equality, equalness across the board, not just Americans, black Americans, and African Americans, but for everybody. In some of his speeches that are not publicly known, that he made in some of the smaller churches, Baptist churches in the South, they've recorded that. He did a great job. He spoke clearly, and he sent a correct message.
Yeah, one of the things
we're not even learning from that today.
One of the things
it's gone away.
One of the things he pushed is education and how important it is.
Absolutely.
To get it, learn all you can.
My kids know I push it every day.
You know, I get on mine's butt too. He's 15 years old. He doesn't care. His thing is video games and guns. I agree. I understand. I'm with him on that. But at the same time, you've got to get education. You've got to read stuff. Like they're supposed to be reading. Like in class, they're reading 1984. So I went to the library and got the book. I'm like, here, I want you to read the book solidly on your own without the interruptions of class. He has no interest in doing it. I'm like, how are you not? You've got to understand this. He understands because I mean he's learning a little bit because I got a big mouth. So talking politics, talking gun rights, talking government. And I'm like,
you and I are one and the same. I push him and kick him all the time.
And it's so hard that this generation. I know I wasn't like super psyched about school when I was a kid, but you know this like education learning stuff.
But the system is bogging them down with stupid shit too.
There is a lot of that. You know, and they make it difficult for the parents to help because you know what it's like as an educator. You do what you can, but if at the end of the school day, the kids go home and the parents have to help. There's no way. There's a huge disconnect. I keep talking to the school. Where
2 generations of disconnect completely across the board. I mean, it's below the radar now.
I mean, I talked to the administrators of the school. I'm like, there needs to be a way to where they're bringing home stuff I can go through with him. I need to know when he's got a test because it's called Progress Book. So the school that he goes to and a lot of others, you can log in and you can see real time what his grades are.
Right.
Here's the thing. I can see his grade after it's been posted. Well, that's too late if I need to make sure that he's prepared.
Now, see, that's
for
the
test.
difference in my kids go to private school. We can log in anytime, see it, see the flow chart, see the graph.
Yeah, and that's the problem. I tell them, I say, I need to know that he has on Monday that he has a test on Friday or whatever. I'm like, but I don't know that. When Friday afternoon rolls around,
We get
I can log in.
emails, too, from the teacher going, hey, Andrew's doing this, Mia's doing this, you need to do this, and we're on it. We're on literally, I get an email.
With public schools, you're going to see that kind of stuff if kids having a significant issue. If there's a fight or something
I
like
get
that.
an
or a
email from
problem,
her teacher, Andrew's getting it.
Yeah.
So I'll bring up one that Andrew did. This is a couple of months ago. Andrew gets in a fight with another student who he's friends with and punches the kid, literally punches him right in the mouth and says, bring it on. So Andrew doesn't know that he's in trouble, so he comes home. Where'd you get that terminology? TV?
Yeah.
Bring it on.
Bring it on.
Yeah. So he got in trouble. And I made him write an apology letter to his coach, to his teacher, and to the principal, and to apologize and handwrite it himself. I don't tolerate it. You know, my wife edges, you know, she says she's conservative and Republican and this and that. Okay, whatever. Yeah, you know, my wife brings it on too. So, yes, I'm picking on you, my lovely wife, if you're listening. She
has to listen to you
I'm
enough
not,
at home.
Right. I'm not perfect at raising kids. There is no book on it, but I'm old school, and I'll smack you down and smack you up and put that handprint on the butt and move on.
Yeah.
Would you hear about that? The guy, it went on Facebook this week, and it went viral. The story about the guy who made his daughter walk 5 miles to school.
Yeah.
And that's
beautiful.
She got kicked off the bus for bullying, though.
Yeah, kicked off the bus for bullying. So he made her walk each way.
Totally
5
for
miles.
that father.
5 miles. It's a 5 mile ride to go to school, so she's
That's
got to walk
awesome.
the entire way. Teach her a lesson about bullying.
Good. I'm totally for it. Absolutely.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I agree with Sean. It's the old school kind of mentality. I mean, you don't have to beat your kids into submission, but at the same time, you have to make the points when you have to make the points.
Yeah,
sometimes
you got to put your foot down when you have to.
And sometimes it is completely appropriate to kill a mosquito with a sledgehammer.
Yeah.
You know, absolutely. I got no problem with nuking a whole building just to kill a spider.
Yeah.
I always call my son a liberal, and he'll go, I'm not a liberal, and he'll roar like a bear or a lion. And I'll go, you're starting to roar like a bear or a lion, I'm going to put you in the zoo. He gets it. When I mean business. I don't play around.
Yeah.
And I'm not afraid to spank, slap, hit, beat, abuse, and everything that it does take to straighten a kid out.
Well, you're preparing them for life. You know, when some people, I try to get them to
Thicken his
understand.
skin up, I call it.
Yeah, I mean, I try to make people understand. It's like, you know, life doesn't care about your feelings. You know, it's true. I mean, you end up in the job market and you're trying to work, and a company's got something they've got to get accomplished, and you're like, oh, but I don't feel like it. Somebody's got to get done. I had a job when I was like straight out of the Army, was a clerk for a law firm. I've changed positions. We hired my replacement, this younger, actually she was the same age as me, but you know, this young person. And same thing. It was she was basically a gopher. I'm like, one of the things is like, this is a big stuffy law firm in a city, and we've got, some of these guys are members of country clubs. You're going to get sent out to pick up guys' golf shoes and golf clubs. And she's like, what? I'm like, yep, you're going to do that. And you're going to do some other, and it's going to seem like personal errands. Like, she's like, I'm not doing that. I'm like, here's the thing. There are 10 people willing to take your job for less money. They'll start tomorrow. So you're going to do exactly what they tell you to do, or you're going to get fired. That's just the way it is. And, you know, you're right. It's you've got to, teach them what life's going to be like. Life is not easy.
And this was all created by helicopter parenting, liberals, too soft, laws changing. Oh, you can't, taking discipline, taking the pledge, taking the prayer out of schools, having structure at home, having parents that are married. There's way too much divorce or
no, you're right. The
parenting where it's a single mother or single father,
single
or
parent.
the father's not there and the mother's raising the kids. Yeah, that's tough. Or vice versa. Respect, morals, values. It even comes down to, even scouts.
Yeah.
I spent 23 years in scouts. I was one of the most decorated in Summit County.
Thought you get kicked out at 18.
No, you go on to a scoutmaster,
Oh, there you go.
commissioner, and
Yeah, I know
chaplain.
you were involved in. Yeah, you were.
I was heavily
the
involved in
even
scouts,
after you
and
actually
because of the
graduated
changes, I'm not involved, and I don't recommend or accept any of the scouts what they do today. Going to
just
President
Scouts of
McKinley's
America.
grave and putting flowers down to
Girl
earn your
Scouts are suing over
Bobcat
that.
badge doesn't cut it. They have no survival skills, none, no morals, respect. So let me ask you, in the Scout motto, morally straight, it does state that. Do we have that going on? We have women in Scouts now. We have lesbians, we have butches, and we have dykes in Scouts. So how are you morally straight? So they're going to change the motto?
Yeah, the Scouts is going through some crazy changes.
Scouts of America now, that's what it's called.
Yeah, well, the Girl Scouts are actually suing them over that because it's
Good.
too generic. The name.
Absolutely.
They say the name is
Too
too
bad
generic.
you
it's
weren't
gonna
on the law
confuse
team
people.
for that.
Yeah. Oh man. I want to get involved in some of these ones about the guns. Because I was telling you earlier, the what is it, Third Circuit, I think, up there, that New Jersey ammo capacity ban, they've ruled that to be constitutional, so that'll hopefully go up to the Supreme Court. There's one out west, I forget what it was, the same thing. It's going to
Isn't
go
there a
up.
town out west? I think it's Colorado, isn't it? Where it's absolutely you have to own a gun, carry a gun, and have a gun.
Oh, I know where you're talking. I don't think it's in Colorado, but yeah, I know that town. It's cool as heck, man.
Is it Shooters, Colorado?
I don't think it's Colorado. For some reason, I think it was closer to like the Virginia or South Carolina or something like that. One of those.
Yeah, were they
like a southern state? But yeah, they changed the law requiring every resident to own a firearm, and violent crime and home invasions just dropped like a rock.
0.02.
Yeah, the numbers are just astronomically low. It's hilarious. I mean, they don't enforce it. They freely say they don't enforce it. They're not going door to door.
Don't have to.
Show us your gun. They don't bother doing that. But it's a city ordinance that says you have to own a firearm. And like I said, their rates have just dropped. When you look at that compared to New York City, it's kind of a tough comparison because like New York, Chicago, they're so much bigger. I mean, a lot bigger. I forget the size of the other town, but it's huge. But when you look at these like restrictive cities that,
it's Rifle, Colorado.
Is that where it's at?
Rifle, Colorado. But no, you're right on that. There's a town down in Georgia or Louisiana.
Sure.
Where they
Georgia.
require by law for you to own a gun.
Yeah, I think it's Georgia. Now that you say that, but either way, yeah. But yeah, the violent crime rates, the
Rifle,
home invasion
Colorado.
rates are so low. It's just almost non-existent when you compare it to like Chicago, which is the most it's almost impossible to get a gun in the state unless you're the Secret Service. Their violent crime is through the roof. I mean, you walk through Chicago, you're lucky you don't get mugged on the way.
Right.
We
haven't heard from you in a while, there, Tony. What's your thought on it?
I mean,
I know you're pushing. You're tired, but
yeah,
you got to push here for a couple more minutes, buddy.
Why no? It's just like you see these things that there are countries over in Europe where you've got to own a weapon, and like violent crime is like non-existent.
Right.
And you have I mean, because I had a passenger last night. She's going to Chicago for something or other. And I said, well, be careful, be safe. It's a very violent city. And she was like, well, I was like, and that's because, and in my strong feeling, it's a gun-free zone. And she was like, well, you do have, she's like, now while the quote-unquote gun show loophole is, has been closing a lot over the years, there's, the states that are around Illinois make it easy to get a weapon and bring it in. And I'm like, yeah, but still, there's heavy restrictions in, here. And I'm like, I was like, you notice everywhere. And as we were getting into discussion further, she was like, well, I am going to go get my concealed carry permit. She was like, I do feel that everybody, should have something. I told her, I was like, now, even if they ban guns, do you think the criminals are going to walk down to the police station? And
I'm going to add this to it, okay? This is the truth, and this is a fact. The Second Amendment will never, ever go away or get banned or changed, and no president will ever touch it, ever. It will start a war.
It's political suicide.
They won't add referendums to it now. Now, there's a possibility of adding referendums to the Second Amendment if we become a totally liberal, socialistic society. They'll add, but as even going away in a socialistic, liberal, leftist society, that won't happen either. It will start a war. there are 229.5 million Americans, and out of that number, there are 21.6 billion guns owned by those Americans. It will start a war, I promise you, and I'll be part of it.
Yeah, I mean, there's just people that, I mean, you can only take the right away, and if we were to go to like a full liberal socialistic country,
like Europe,
yeah, and just imagine I'm saying, yeah, you're right to bear arms. Here's your black powder. Here's your musket. This is that's the arms.
That's what they're operating with over there.
Yeah.
Some of those countries, they have muskets.
Yeah. No, I'm saying that our liberals in this country would say that's the only guns you're allowed to own because that's what the forefathers had when they.
There's a video on Facebook of liberals owning guns. Pow, 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 pow.
My favorite is that chick Rachel Maddow at the range. Yeah, because she whatever likes to shoot rifles. In fact, even the AR-15. But then it's like, but we still need gun control. I mean, you're crazy. It's not even gun control. It's civilian disarmament. We want to disarm the civilian population so that we can enslave them. That's exactly what the government's going for.
And we have, what, China? Name some of the countries.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to comparisons are a dangerous thing because there's not really a good way of comparing one country to another because
Germany,
everything is so different.
World War II.
But you're right. You look at Germany when they banned guns and then they killed millions of people. Russia killed millions.
Right.
You know, like you said, Germany, what they did throughout Europe for World War II.
And
even
people
before,
do not think that's going to happen.
Things down in Africa. Well, you know, the funny thing is, I mean, we have this weird, you know, almost bipolar, you know, nation where you have people, well, look you've got these hardcore, they call themselves 3%ers, they're covering tattoos, they work out every day, you know, they've got all these guns, they're like, man, I'm going to stand up for my rights, but then they say back to blue, and then when we keep getting more taxes and voting for these socialists, they just kind of like knuckle under. Like, when are you guys going to stand up? We got France, we've been making fun of them for years. They're finally standing up to this huge federal tax. You know, we're not standing up for anything.
You know that's going to happen here.
You know, we have one guy stand up. You got this crazy knucklehead, Adam Kokesh, about 4 years ago, went down to Washington, D.C., where it's illegal to have a loaded rifle out in public. He loads, shotgun. He goes out there on video, loads a shotgun up. Hey, I'm in Washington, D.C. with that. Of course, they arrested him. Why? Because one guy did it. You saw, for God's sake, in Seattle, Washington, the liberalist area around, you saw that they passed a law that says if you took a firearm and you handed it to somebody else without it touching an FFL first, it was a crime. So you had a couple hundred people show up and just stand there and pass their rifles back and forth to each other going, you can't do anything to stop us. This is how we do this. You know, like...
If 1 million people showed up with guns to Washington, D.C., you think they're going to take the time to take them away?
Good luck with that.
Nope. Not going to happen. It will create another level of existence to come out of the woodwork going, we're taking our guns out now.
Well, we've let the
liberals
liberals
start a revolution.
We've let the liberals take control of education. So the first thing they did was get rid of civics. So now people don't understand their rights and why they're important and how they exist and how they work.
You're so right.
They look at you look at the Bill of Rights and none of them really understand it because they're always saying, well, we need common sense gun control. We need common sense this and common sense
What's
that.
common sense gun control? You can bring up that
If
stupid
it's
word all
common
the time.
sense, the government doesn't need to get involved. If it's common sense, there should be no government involvement, right? I mean, if you have to use the government, which if you use the government, that means you're using the threat of deadly force. That is exactly what government does, threat of deadly force. Because if you tell the government no, men with guns are coming up to you to make you do it. If it requires that, it's not common sense. So you look at the restrictions on First Amendment with the free speech, with religion, even the press. Everybody's arguing about when Trump threw that cat out of the White House, you know, and they're arguing about how that violates the First Amendment. And not one person said the right thing when they talked about that.
And here's Mueller still going after all that crap.
Oh, God, that idiot. I don't want Trump to just put an end to that. If I were Trump, I'd just be like, all right, cut that out. I mean, he's letting us, that Mueller guy, waste so much taxpayer money.
Right. Hundreds of millions of dollars.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. By now, absolutely.
Yeah.
And you got the Second Amendment getting gutted practically. You know, I mean, you look at the Fourth and Fifth. I mean, all these amendments, like, you know, with the police search and seizures.
You notice that they're doing this very slowly and they're eating away very little bit at a time. It's going to happen in our lifetime, folks. Our lifetime, I'm talking all three of us, that we're going to see tyranny.
That's how you do it.
Government collapse, and we are going to be running the show.
Yeah. If we'd elected Hillary, that's exactly, we'd be doing that right now. We'd under a tyrannical rule by now. Luckily, we elected Trump. He's much, much better. Obviously, it's something night and day. Even
2021, it'll be in the next term. If Trump doesn't run, he gets impeached, whatever happens to him.
Yeah.
If we get a democratic, socialistic, liberal president It'll happen in the first term of the second year of the next president. It will all go to hell.
Well, all these idiots trying to, the never Trumpers, they want impeachment, they don't realize who's next in line. So what they really need to do is they need to figure out how to work with Donald Trump. He's the president of the United States. He's going to be there until 2021, and he might be there another 4 years if we reelect him.
I hope.
They ought to, no kidding, they ought to just figure out how to work with him. If you've noticed, whenever somebody gets in there and talks with him, he actually listens. I mean, he didn't he commute the sentence for that one lady after Kim Kardashian, God of all people, goes in and says, you need to help this woman out.
Right.
I mean, he probably never heard of that woman's name before, Kim Kardashian showed. And really, I mean, why are we listening to Kim? Well, I don't know, but she managed to get in the room with him, and he listened to what she had to say.
And he's a president of the people. He really is. You can't compare him to anybody else, but he's a president of the people, allowing Kanye West in the White House.
Yep.
Kim Kardashian situation. He's going to pardon, is it Manafort?
Yeah, he might.
He will.
Yeah.
Just so it goes away.
Yeah,
Next. He's up for the fight. He's up for the battle.
Yeah. The election of him as president reminds me when Jerry Springer was looking at running in for the Senate several years ago by now. Well, people made fun of that. Oh, he's going to get elected by all the slack-jawed yokels and the normal, basically the normal people, the lower class. And Jerry Springer's like, well, wait a minute. Yeah, that's exactly it. These are Americans. These are the ones who are not being listened to because nobody listens to anybody who doesn't have an Ivy League education.
Right.
If you go out and you say, I'm from Harvard. I've got a Harvard business degree. Everybody wants to listen to you. You got that guy who's a guitarist for Rage Against the Machine. Well, he went to Harvard for undergrad, so everybody listened to what he had to say. He's an idiot because he backs socialism and that, what was his name? Che Guevara, who hated gays and blacks. All about that guy, which is funny because I think that dude from Rage is half black. But, so Jerry Springer's like, yeah, that's exactly what the government's supposed to be, is represent the people. And that's who elected Trump. It's not dumb, ignorant people who can't spell their own names. It's just the common man like all of us.
So we're going to end on that note. You are listening to Firearms, Freedom, and Facts. We will be back next Sunday. Stay tuned from 9:30 until midnight with the Sports
Brewing Company
at Windsor's Pub in Akron, Ohio. They will be broadcasting live from 9:30 p.m. until midnight. And so said of that, you're listening to Firearms, Freedom, and Facts on SKO Radio Network with Tony, Sean, and Jason, and we'll see you next week.
See you, folks.